Hello guys, welcome back to ArxangelRC. Diving into toy copters today for a bit, as I was curious to see how far things have come after the Visuo copter I reviewed a while back, and being a new model, the Phantasm TY-16 seemed as good of a choice as any. Besides, they do advertise 18 minutes of flight, which is quite impressive for a toy grade model, so I had to check it out. Even though it is not foldable, it comes in a box with a handle on it, which makes it easy to carry around. In addition, it does look good, and I have to say, it kind of looks more serious than it probably is. I do love the taller legs because that would allow installing different mods, for instance like an analog video system if you're not happy with the Wi-Fi one, and you would have enough space to let the antennas hang from the bottom, or perhaps a second battery to extend flight time. There are possibilities here for sure. And just in case you are wondering, the camera module can be tilted up or down and is removable, so you can DIY some analog camera in there, which would surely have a lot more range than this one would allow over Wi-Fi. Getting it airborne is quite simple. After you've charged up the battery with the provided charger and have it plugged in, press the power button for 2 or 3 seconds and the LEDs will light up. Then connect your smartphone to the copter's Wi-Fi and start the Wi-Fi-UFO app, note the dash, which you should have downloaded beforehand. Once in there, click play and the video should show up. Now, with the Wi-Fi camera module in there, you have the option to control the copter via the smartphone app as well, but if you remove it, you will only be able to control it with the remote controller. If you want to only look at the video on the phone and use the controller to fly the Phantasm, make sure you switch on the radio first and move the left control stick up and down until you hear the beep, and then open the app on the phone. If you connect the phone first, you will not have control with the radio unit, only the phone. This is what happens when you connect the phone first and then try to use the controller. The wind just blows it away and you keep banging on those sticks in the hopes something will happen. Making it out of the field, I was anxious to get this thing airborne and see if it will live up to that 18-minute flight time promise, although I highly doubted it would based on previous experience with such things. So with the copter switched on, move the left stick up and down until you hear the beep, then press the start button and either give it throttle manually by raising the left stick or press the auto takeoff button and up it goes. Since the day was windy, I had to increase the control rates, but if you are completely new to this, I would suggest starting with the lowest rates, which are selected by default, and flying only when there is no wind or in a large indoor space until you get used to it, and then move to the higher rate options. To be honest, the copter handled much better than I imagined it would. It was quite responsive, and at the high rates it will go against the wind with ease, even the stronger gusts. Since it has an altitude hold feature, I did not have to worry about that most of the time and could just concentrate on keeping it in one place or flying around. Having altitude hold really makes flying these things a lot easier, especially for complete beginners. If only they could have added an optical flow sensor for position holding like the one on the Freeman X150. This really would have been something quite impressive at that price, but I guess then it would have cost a bit more. Since the camera module actually has an SD card slot and it does record the video to it, we can now enjoy some shaky onboard video as well, but that is what you get without a gimbal, though that might be quite a lot to ask from a $50 toy. In any case, the quality of the recorded video is also better than I would have thought, with some good detail and colors, and when there is a calm moment and the copter can stabilize properly, things look pretty nice. The tiltable angle on the camera module means that you can take it up higher and still be able to have the camera angled down, so you can take some video or photos of yourself, or dronies as they have come to be known recently. For the first time in a while, I decided to test that return to home functionality. Turns out it's not quite what it appears to be. I've tried that on other copters with very weird results, but when I tried it here, what it does basically is tilt the copter backwards, so in case it is pointing away from home, it will come back to home, but if it's pointing sideways, it will go backwards to wherever it reaches. Thing is, when it starts going backwards, you know this is the back side, so you can take control and bring it back home. This is meant to be used when you've lost orientation of the copter and perhaps don't have a working video feed. And speaking of the video feed, I wasn't overly impressed by the rigidity of the video link, so I am glad this one can record on the SD card. It didn't take any notable distance for the video feed to freeze up, although granted I am in the city and rampant Wi-Fi signals are in abundance, which sadly isn't quite the same as having money in abundance. It's bad for these toys. I did send the copter off in the distance away from the buildings, but it quickly lost the Wi-Fi video signal and also surprisingly the radio signal, even though they're advertising it as utilizing spread spectrum technology, which should be pretty interference resilient and should have a larger distance, but I'm guessing not quite. Next time I'm going out of the city, I will take the Phantasm with me to see if the Wi-Fi link will be better out there, and will also test it on my tablet just to make sure it is not the phone that is the problem. Finally, it was time to do an endurance test to see if those 18 minutes are for real. With the battery all charged up again, I decided to fly the copter using the phone only in the mode that controls the copter by tilting the phone. To my surprise, the copter was very responsive to tilting the phone around. I was able to hold it in one position relatively precisely despite the gusting wind. Trying to get near the bush to clip some leaves with the props did result in it getting tangled in there, but it was back in the air pretty soon, and after it landed due to low battery, total airtime worked out to about 14.5 minutes, which really surprised me. I think this is the longest flying copter of this sort that I have, and I think it flies even longer than the larger XK-X300. Not sure what is the consumption of the camera module, but since it is removable, I can only assume that without it, it just might get even closer to those 18 minutes, so not bad at all. Still, 14 minutes for a toy is quite a lot, but you know what? I already have a few ideas for improvements on this one, and those tall legs are going to come in handy. I will adjust the antenna positioning on the camera module to try and get more range out of it, but if I can't, at least I can easily remove it and make room for a proper analog video system. The Phantasm is turning out to be a pretty good toy model for the $50 they're asking for it, boasting really good flight times apparently, to the point where you might even get bored at some point, and also a camera module which has pretty good details and colors of the recorded video, but have yet to verify its Wi-Fi range. The controls are easy and precise both with the radio and with the phone, and I think this one would make a lot of people, and perhaps mainly kids, quite happy. I did crash it a few times and was happy to see it survived without any damage and none to the gears despite getting it tangled in the high grass a few times. There are prop guards supplied in the package, but for me those are amongst the most useless accessories you can get with one of these, but that's just me. I guess complete beginners might find them useful for a while, though keep in mind that removing them would greatly improve the flight characteristics of the copter. Now, if you have found this video useful, please like, share and subscribe if you haven't already, because I am not done with this one quite yet. In addition, consider following me on Facebook for more regular updates, and also consider supporting me on Patreon. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I will try to answer to the best of my knowledge. All relevant links are in the video description below, and using any of them to buy anything from those websites would help support this channel, would allow me to keep doing this, and you will have my eternal gratitude. I wish you happy flying, and until next time.